Does it fuck up for you too?
Yes, it's a screw up for me as well.
Maybe one day they'll fix it.
Yes, perhaps. Is that the right game? That's the right game.
It's the right game.
No, I was playing the Ember mid.
Alright. And you were against Tinker?
The mid lane was a screw up.
Okay.
Yes.
So what did you want to look at in this game? Mostly just like the laning phase or like post laning?
Yes, mostly the laning phase. 'Cause, yeah. Going against the Tinker wasn't that great.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult matchup for a lot of mid heroes, really, especially melee ones. So last time it was Shaman, now it's Ember. Do you usually play like a specific role?
I try to play mid or support. Ranked games I usually play support because, well, I'm playing with lag usually, like 200 ping. So it's easier for me to play a supportive hero.
Shit, why is that? The 200 ping, I mean?
I'm from South Africa and I play ranked in EU. So that's like, yeah. South Africa doesn't have any ranked servers. Sadly.
I can't remember if they used to have ranked servers and they shut them down because of abuse, or they just never had them.
Yeah, we had them, but then they shut them down.
It's unfortunate. Not much you can do if you want to play Dota.
Very much. Yeah, so I tend to play normal games. It's much easier.
Yeah, probably a lot less stressful too, especially considering the situation. Alright, so these items, as a side lane Ember, it'd probably be okay to have items like this, but in the mid lane, you really want to have, as a melee hero, definitely do get the Stout and the Quelling right away, but I think you also definitely get at least one Fairy Fire and at least one Branch, and you try to get the shared tangos if you can, but if you can't get the shared tangos, then you just forego the tangos and just get as many stats that build up into items that you're going to buy. Like, I think a build that you could probably go is like a Stout Shield with either a Circlet or a Slipper or something like that. And a branch. If you have any shared tangos, use the branch and you eat the tree, so you don't have to walk all the way to the trees, which are, pretty far away. And you typically want to, buy out all 600 of your gold and then rely on some bounty runes being picked up so that you can send yourself a salve as fast as possible. That's just like bog standard, really. I'm gonna guess that your team wasn't going to share tangos with you even if you asked, so that's...
No, the Marana later on said she'd give me tangos, but I said I already bought 6, so...
Yeah, I mean, plus, if you're playing with players that only buy, like, 1 tango, or it's, you can't really expect them to share and reduce that down to 2. That just cripples them even more. Like, all these players aren't buying enough regen, really.
Yes.
And Definitely against Tinker, you want to just get your block, assuming you block as well as you could.
Yeah, I tried. I think I failed this time though.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. Pretty sure I screwed it up.
Everybody screws up their block. It's okay. Just do the best you can, pretty much.
Your talents
So
surpass your loveliness.
Major focus of the Tinker versus anybody matchup is what you want to do is, especially at the lower levels, Commander Root. Oh my god, the fucking bot that just sits in people's channels is following people now. Sorry. Alright. So, at level 1, 20-second cooldown on laser. Pretty long time. So,
yeah.
The way that you approach lane versus Tinker is you just go all out on him and trade as much as you possibly can. Preferably with a shared tango, or, you know, I guess if nobody's giving you tangos, like one set of tango and just making sure you have branches so you don't have to retreat back to the trees would be okay. But either way, you force him out to use this laser, so the blind duration's 3 seconds. That gives you 17 seconds where you can contest CS. If you're lasered during those 3 seconds, it's obviously impossible for you to contest CS because you're missing 100% of your shots. So the way that the Tinker wants to do it is he wants to laser in preparation for getting like a last hit or a deny uncontested because of his slow travel distance, or his slow projectile speed, I think it's called. So he might have the damage advantage over you when it comes to last hitting and denying, you know, ignoring your Quelling Blade. His base damage and added damage is still much higher, but you do have that benefit of the instant attack projectile because you're melee. So if you can force out that laser to reduce the amount of damage, or to make it so he can't use the laser in a way that can guarantee him CS, and he has to do it just so he's not taking damage, that's generally how you want to approach it, and that's one of the reasons why Tinker has fallen off a lot, even now that mid lane is pretty much a strictly 1v1, and Tinker does do pretty well in 1v1s. So, as Ember Spirit, and this is finally getting to the specifics of the Ember versus Tinker matchup, you just level Flame Guard, use it immediately, and just run at him and right click him. And you just don't worry about tanking creeps too much because you do have that Stout Shield, and if you've got the branch, then you can have a tango going at the same time. It's only going to be 80 damage, also going to be pure damage, so there's no way for him to get rid of it. So he's going to be taking that full 30 damage per second. He's also going to be taking right clicks. So even though you might be tanking creeps, he might be tanking creeps a little as well if he doesn't decide to just run away from you and decides to start trading. But the only other option for him to break your Flame Guard would be to level Heat-Seeking Missile at level 1, and I can guarantee you there's no way this guy's going to do that.
Yeah, I think I tried to go at him on level 2, and then he instantly just broke my Flame Guard.
Right, that's a little bit too late to do it. You want to force out that laser and try to get as many denies as you possibly can. It's really if you can get to level 3 before he can, then your chance in lane is much higher, because he can't just break your flame guard with one rocket. Even level 2 rocket isn't enough to break a level 2 flame guard. So that's where, if you don't do this early on and you don't push your advantage in the matchup right away, Tinker could come out on top.
Okay. Okay, so I guess that's then what I did wrong. Cool.
Well, now you know how what you want to do against Tinker next time. That
Yes.
just in general, that applies to pretty much all Ember matchups where he doesn't just get completely rolled. Any matchup that's like where Ember doesn't get completely rolled is just going to come down to your ability to mitigate as much harass as possible and keep make sure you're using Flame Guard at good times.
Okay, so this would be where I should just run at him.
You do want to just run at him, but since it's on your hill, it's good if you kind of make him come into you a little instead of just running at him straight away. See right here, you went for the last hit instead of the deny. And I think in this, the way that denies work right now, especially in the first few waves, it's always worth it to get a deny over a last hit. Because the experience, especially in a matchup like this, where we've established that it's a race to level 3, whether or not Ember can continue laning or not. Because, I mean, once he gets level... If he gets level 5 and you're level 3 still, then he's just breaking your shield. And his rocket does have a much shorter cooldown than your shield does. Well, maybe not much shorter, but quite significantly.
Okay. I'll remember that for next time.
Alright, so here he used some creep aggro to make sure that he can CS more safely and not have to worry about you running at him. Like the gap between you and him is quite severe at this point. So what you want to do here, and it's pretty specific, the exact way you want to approach this situation, is you want to make sure that you're not right-clicking him and get so creep aggro, the way it works is you have to be within 500 range and they have to have vision of you. So you attack an enemy hero and the creeps will start running at you. So what you do to remedy this, and it also has a 3-second cooldown, which is why it's very important that you make sure that you're not right-clicking him as you approach. So you want to walk right here, roughly. Right-clicking him. Make sure these creeps start following you so your range creep isn't dying. And then you want to turn on Flame Guard.
Okay.
And you want to start running at him and right-clicking him. So what this does is it makes sure that you're not going to lose out on this deny necessarily. And his only response to this play is just taking a lot of damage and possibly getting zoned out of getting this deny. Like, he could potentially use his laser to deny you, but if he right-clicks you even once, when he's within range of these creeps. This creep isn't dying either, and you can secure it with your Quelling Blade and your instant attack, as well as zoning him with the Flame Guard.
Okay.
So that's kind of advanced, and I'm not that great at doing this either. I don't really even play mid, but I just happen to know from hearing players on stream and talking to other players I know how you want to approach this matchup against Tinker. And I've played Ember in the past, so I know what kinds of power spikes he has in laning, so I was able to apply it to this matchup, even though I've probably only played this matchup like once or twice.
Okay, I completely understand what you're
Yeah.
saying. Makes sense.
So, alright, so it's good that he missed the deny there, but yeah, I'm just going to continue to emphasize
so did I,
the denying of creeps. And at this point, I'll make it go at normal speed. Good that you're using aggro in general.
At this point, should I just be running at him again?
Yeah, you definitely should have been running
better?
at him. So not necessarily because you would win the trade, health-wise, but in order for him to break your, at this point he does break your Flame Guard because he's got level 2 and he's got Heat-Seeking Missile.
Yes.
But you wanna, like, you want to take some magic damage during your Flame Guard for it to have its full value, and
Okay.
this Heat-Seeking Missile will take off your Flame Guard, and it even a little bit over the magic absorb. But if any amount of one instance of magic damage that gets absorbed by Flame Guard, doesn't matter how high it is, your Flame Guard will go away, but you won't take any additional damage. So even if it gets taken off here, it's still fine. And it's still, if you do it in such a way where your cooldown is less than 25 seconds, then you'll be able to have Flame Guard again before he has another rocket, yeah.
Rocket. Okay. Cool.
You also have to take into account the movement speed advantage that you have as Ember. So you've got a slight movement.
Yeah, yeah.
So that can help you close the gap on Tinker, who's a pretty slow hero. I think 285. Or it's like 2... it's pretty hard to know what these heroes' base movement are anymore, since every single one has increased movement speed.
Yeah.
I think it's 285. I might be wrong. It might be 290. Yeah, another benefit to running at him early on with this Flame Guard activated is that you'll be double waving him. So the situations where you want to double lane in mid is when you can't comfortably and confidently get every single last hit right away. And what I mean by that is, all right, no, let me backtrack on that for a second. There's another component to it. So the way that Tinker is set up, and this is another reason why he's not really in the meta as a mid hero. He's got nukes, right? But they're not AoE. So
Yes.
he's got this laser, and he's got rocket, but these you really only want to use the rocket. He can only use on the enemy hero, and the laser you want to use on the enemy. You don't want to use it to just secure a CS. If you have a choice, you want to use it on them, and then get the CS with your right click. So if Tinker is last hitting under tower, then he's going to have a tough time doing it, especially because his damage is in the 60s range, which makes it a little bit more inconsistent with the way that you last hit under tower. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that right now, but just know that if you have between 60 and 70 damage, it's going to be more difficult to last hit. Like if you prep the range creep, right? A lot of times you'll hit the range creep once, you'll let the tower hit it twice, and then you'll get the last hit afterwards.
And then
It becomes much more difficult if you have this 60 damage range, because it becomes inconsistent with the tower's range of damage.
Yes. Depends on if you get a high roll or a low roll.
Instead
right?
of you getting the last hit every
issue.
single time, you know, sometimes you just won't get it.
Yeah.
Tinker is also a ranged hero, so he's not going to have stout shield. Doesn't want to be tanking those creeps under tower. And as long as you're not right-clicking the Tinker, or you're the closest thing to the tower, you can also just go under tower, because he has no way of pushing you off of the tower. You know, except for the Spirit Breaker. So a lot of times, if you don't have some moron Spirit Breaker just charging you, you'll be able to just go under tower if they've got no way of pushing you off of it and try to get the denies under tower while they're trying to last hit. So they're not only are they fighting against, or I guess in this specific case, not only would Tinker be fighting against his own 60 damage range, but would also be fighting against you and the tower to get the last hit. As long as you don't accidentally right click.
Yeah.
And you're the closest thing to the tower, then you'll be fine. And I do recommend like practicing that if you can. Just practicing being comfortable under tower. If you're not that comfortable with the mechanic, I mean.
Okay. What should I do at this moment? Is it better to head back to base, or should I just...
Right now, what you should do, and I'm glad you asked that question, because I was just going to see what you did, and then I wasn't fishing for you to ask the question, but I was just going to see what was going to happen. What you should do here is, instead of the bottle, just fly yourself some regen. You've got 600 gold right now, but you're at such a HP level that you can't actually walk up to the creeps and just lane. So what you want to do is send yourself a salve, send yourself a raindrop, send yourself a mango. Because if you can't send yourself a clarity when you're actually in lane hitting creeps and there's an enemy hero, so you just gotta send yourself the mango. Maybe even 2 mangoes.
Okay.
You just gotta ferry out these small regen items and get the idea out of your head that you have to just go for this bottle immediately. To be crass about it.
Yeah, that's okay, I understand. It's cool.
You could even be sending yourself out components of your Wraith Band to get your stats a bit higher. You know, early on, Spirit Breaker charges you, Tinker lasers, and rockets you. Having 2 extra strength and this raindrop will be the difference between living and dying. And you never want to base during the laning stage, ever, if you can avoid it. You want to be able to just stay here and ferry yourselves like salves and mangoes and raindrops and other items that are going to help you stay in lane and continue to contest for CS until the 5-minute mark that you try to meet up with one of your supports or your carry or some shit and just shrine, you know, whichever one. Like, you're pretty much equidistant to both, or to these shrines. So whichever players are going to want to use the shrine at 5 minutes, just give them a heads up. Like, if they're, just look around the map like 30 seconds prior, whoever's running out of regen, or if they're low, just tell them, hey, I'm going to go to this shrine at 5 minutes, and try to use it right at the 5-minute mark if you can. If you can't, then, you know, you can. Both of these guys are
Yeah, I think me and Pudge used it.
Like,
Yeah.
both of these guys are going to want to go for these bounties, and then right after, you know, you're waiting at the shrine, maybe you can even help contest with this or this bounty. Probably more likely this one, since this one's like, I don't know, like 2,500 units away or something, but this one's quite close.
Okay.
But you definitely want to be ferrying yourself that regen, and definitely don't want to neglect these raindrops, or the small stat items. Like, pretty much the way that I've seen mid laners play is either they just flat out skip the bottle because they're not able to comfortably leave the lane because of how important the denies are and getting those denies, or they just go for the bottle like later on after they get some basic items up. I haven't watched any Embers play recently, but what I would do here is I would go for the raindrop, and I would go for the Aquila, and I would maybe even go for the boots before I got the bottle. Probably want the bottle on Ember, just because it really does help you, especially since you can just base at any time whenever you have a TP available and stay on the map like that.
Yeah.
But securing runes as a mid laner has really gone out of favor. So the bottle's lost a lot of its value because of that. And it does have a lot to do with both how nerfed the jungle has been, as well as how impactful denies are. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can just flat out win this lane, especially when they've got a Spirit Breaker that just charges you once in a while to say hello.
Yeah.
But I do think that you could possibly go even with Tinker, and if you get level 6 before him, then with his low HP pool, he just dies to your level 6.
Okay.
it seems like you are going pretty much even. So we'll see what happens. Alright, so he gets level 6 before you. If you were able to get a few more denies and last hits here, so like, and reduce the amount of denies that Ember or Tinker had by playing up on him early and ferrying out those regen items. Though,
Yeah.
when Pudge rotated like that and just ran at him, then Tinker would have had to respect it much more, because if you did have level 6 there and the same scenario happened, he would have just died.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, I wanted to improve my laning phase. So, yeah, what you said has really helped a lot.
That's good. Yeah, you know, it takes a while to learn these things on your own, because you like, all these players that are playing at the top, not only are they benefiting from an entire hive mind of the Dota players telling them how to play, but they've also been playing, you know, longer than Sumail's even been alive.
Yes.
So if you can have somebody just flat out explain these things to you, it does save a lot of time. As long as it makes sense, I suppose. Alright, so I don't think there's that much more to say about this lane. I'm going to put it at 2x, and then I don't know, you can just ask me more. It was mostly just the laning stage. Now that you've got level 6, laning's over.
Should I just dive him at this point, or, well, not dive him exactly, but go on him with my ultimate? Would that have been better?
I don't think so. I think if Shaman TP's in and shackles you, or Spirit Breaker's there with a charge, then
Yeah, then I'd be
the
dead.
2-level advantage he has on you with this build kills you. So playing careful like that and just making sure that he doesn't get the rune and you do, I think is the correct play. But right now, you pretty much just want to be, just want to have like a TP available if somebody dives, and push this lane out and fall back to the jungle. You know, send yourself some clarity, send yourself some TP so you don't have to rely on this bottle completely and utterly. Once the laning stage is over, you pretty much never buy a mango again unless you're in the enemy's base and you're bound camping them. Because you can just go off the map, and it's the correct play to make, going off the map like that. Your clarity's not going to get cancelled off the map unless there's like a clockwork or something that's feeling particularly vindictive. I think that ultimate usage is fine, because you're not really planning on using it aggressively right now, kind of trying to recover. And Tinker doesn't get the jump on you. Maybe Spirit Break it does, but in the mid lane you'll be able to see him coming unless he's using a creative angle. So I think it's okay that you're not saving your remnants right now.
Well, from here on out it goes a lot better. It's just that early stage that I really struggled.
Ember's laning is definitely his weak point. I'm not sure I could point to even one typical safe lane slash mid hero that, or even off lane hero that he could lane against and say, yeah, he wins that lane. I'm not sure if that hero exists, honestly. He could probably lane fine against some supports, but not a carry plus a support. Or not like a core plus a support. Yeah. Just loses so many different matchups.
Okay, and now we keep post for quite a while though.
I'll increase the speed further.
This game had quite a lot of pauses.
I predicted all of this. All of it.
Alright, another comment I have on this item build that you've got is I think
Yes.
the Boots of Travel is good here because they do have Tinker, and generally speaking you want to be the hero that's responding to the Tinker pushing in a lane like this, and your heroes can fight their heroes later on, but you don't necessarily want to be doing it immediately. You want the Sven to be a little bit more farmed. You want Wind Ranger to,
Yeah.
you know, have some normal items. Their Mirana, I don't know if you necessarily want her rushing Guardian Greaves. But you definitely want this Sven to be able to fight the PL confidently. So I think going a bit greedier with this Boots of Travel is okay, especially since you've got this global presence Tinker. But mostly what I've been seeing is power treads on Ember. And that's just because of how value treads are now. With the recent changes to the way stats work, Ember's a pretty low armor hero, and Treads gives him 2 armor. And in games where in games where they don't have the most magic damage in the world, where you can skip this Flame Guard absorption, this plus 25 damage, even if you're going the Maelstrom build, which is typical now, is still really nice with the treads because of the additional attacks you can get out because of your Searing Chains. So the treads make a lot of sense now.
Okay.
The Boots of Travel have really fallen off on Ember, but I think in this specific game, it's going to allow you to be more of a split push threat, be more of a responding to the Tinker split push idea. So that's just my stance on treads versus Boots of Travel. For the record, I don't think, for the record, I don't think phase boots are ever correct.
Yeah, okay, neither do I, so it's cool.
I still see it sometimes on Ember. It's just not good. That they need to buff phase again, please. Just put the Blades of Attack in the side shot again. It'll be fine then.
Do I stay and hit the tower? Like, this is correct, right? This is what I'm doing.
Going behind the tower and hitting the creeps is most definitely the correct play here. Your tower damage is still negligible. You're only hitting for like 20 damage a hit on the tower. You hit for much more on the creeps. So, you know, there's 2 types of heroes really. when it comes to doing tower damage. There's heroes that hit the tower, and then there's heroes that go behind the tower and kill the creeps and let the creeps do the work. And you really, if you have the space to do so, want to go behind the tower so your creeps aren't taking damage from their creeps and can sustain the maximum amount of tower hits possible. The only thing you want to make sure of is that your melee creeps at least are within this 900 radius, so they're taking one extra tower hit.
Okay.
You know, one.
Okay.
Yeah, one tower hit is. You know, its base attack time is 1 second, so, or I think it's 1 second. Anyway, you know, that's one more tower hit that all your creeps are attacking the tower, and the creeps, you know, don't knock their tower damage. They do like 5 damage a hit on melee or something. Pretty nice. They attack pretty fast. Especially once this catapult comes into play. You know, that's the big wood damage, 50 per hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say about Battle Fury, or rather the first thing,
Yes.
is I think Maelstrom is probably superior most of the time right now. But there is the PL,
Okay.
but you just have to probably count on the Sven to deal with that. If you go
Okay. Okay. Can I ask you why the Maelstrom is superior?
just because it's gotten buffed. It's better in that if you miss an attack on something, then it'll still proc, and
You can. Okay.
the chain lightning's damage
Yes.
has been improved slightly. The way that Sleight of Fist works, it lines up with the internal cooldown on Maelstrom. So on average, you're going to be doing
Okay.
another thing. The chain lightning does not get reduced by your Sleight of Fist creep damage 50% penalty. So you
okay.
actually, like, the Battle Fury on Ember, it's pretty situational compared to the Maelstrom.
Okay. And the Maelstrom is a whole
Yeah,
lot
so
cheaper
you'll be
as
able
well.
to get
so-
online faster, you'll be able to start really pushing out these waves and split pushing more quickly. The Battle Fury, you don't farm neutrals as fast, but neutrals aren't worth anything anyway. So that also ties into not necessarily going these boots of travel, because the treads enable you to get to the Maelstrom faster, and then the Maelstrom will enable you to get to your first defensive items faster. Or your first defensive item.
Okay.
You know, whichever item you need. This game, it's probably the Lincoln. So this,
Okay.
that's just why I don't really like this. Typically, I won't like this Boots of Travel into Battle Fury build, just because it's such a slow build up compared to what you're actually able to
Yeah.
go out on the map and apply pressure to heroes and quick waves. And even to heroes early on, before you have the Daedalus with the Battle Fury, the Maelstrom is doing more damage, except in pretty niche situations, which maybe this game is that situation where there's a lot of PLs. But you already have the Sven for cleave, so I don't think you need more cleave.
Okay.
something I want to mention is that it's really good that your team decided to take a fight here. Just because of the geometry of the area. You've got, you know, if this tower is still up, TP here, TP here, TP here, and they're all within about, you know, 2,000 or so units from each other. So you don't have to worry about the extra long TPs. You've got a shrine. Potentially you have some high ground vision here to reduce the amount of juking that happens. And all these factors play into how difficult it is to actually approach this tower as a pusher from multiple angles. So you have to go up this high ground to do that. And if you already have people here, it's just not going to happen. That's why oftentimes you'll see in high-level games and in pro games, either this tower will die to the first or second catapult, or 25-30 minutes into the game it'll still be up. And there's not really... It's really just either or. Like, it's those first two catapult waves, or it goes down like way late into the game when you finally have to make sure this T2 goes down, and you can get really ahead and you can really make sure that you can control this entire area. It's the same story over here, except Radiant has an advantage because these three places are a bit further away from each other. Just slightly though.
Yeah.
What you'll see teams doing is they'll do what your team is doing. If a team incorrectly decides to group up and push this tower, the other team will mount the defense, they'll get kills, and then they'll swarm this tower, take it down, get map control, and their jungle. And a lot of the reason why the safe lane tower is easier to take is for, like, the, you know, it's for the same reasons why this tower is difficult to take. You don't need to take any additional map control necessarily to approach this tower from multiple angles. You don't have to go up high ground at all in order to get around. And these 3 points aren't as close, nearly. Like, this tower and this tower are like double the distance of this one and this one, pretty much. So it's really good that you guys are taking a fight here. This is what's commonly referred to as taking a fight on the correct side of the map.
Okay. Yeah, here's another pause.
Did you have any more questions about this game?
I think that's all, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, though.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just take some notes and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Okay, so we mostly just went over laning. The specifics of laning against Tinker mostly. I mean, all those concepts about laning versus Tinker on Ember, if you happen to be playing a different hero, it's basically going to be the same. Try to force out his laser, and then you just have free reign for the next 16 seconds, or 17 seconds. Just try to get all the denies you can. Take advantage of the fact that he has no nuke other than the one, other than the laser for securing CS, unless he's going max March or something. But if he's going max March, then you know his laser's not doing any damage. So that's pretty much why Tinker doesn't get played, because he's dog shit.
Yeah, sadly I lost to him.
Well, you know, you can't win them all. This guy, clearly he knows how to play Tinker, I guess. Played it a lot. Alright.
Yeah. Thank you very much again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no